All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, of course, unpause and repause, as usual. Now, got some good news today. Well, today is a good day, as Ice Cube would say, I suppose. It has been a good day, though. Everything's on the up and up, actually. It's one of those rare days when nothing goes wrong, and everything just feels happy and optimistic. So we're hoping that, of course, as we segue into the evening, that does not magically change. BW, Sticks, do you think Gen Z will have enough kids? Yes. In fact, I think you're probably going to get a resurgence of considerably more kids from Gen Z. The backlash against, like, the globalist boomerism has been vanguarded actually by multiple generations, and Gen Z seems to sort of get it, and so I'm very hopeful about that, actually. Horwitz, Feinberg, and Horwitz, Sticks is late and gay. Kraken Joker, hell is frozen over. I have caught a live stream. That's what I'm talking about. By the way, I'm going to be making a really, really yummy soup in the next few days. It's called Harira, Harira. Just let me rant for a moment here. It is a vegetarian soup from North Africa. It's Moroccan/Tunisian more than anything else. It's eaten in that region of the world. And actually one of Liz's favorite foods. She actually did modeling down in Tunisia for a little while. And when I made it, she swore up and down it was just as good as the one that she had in actual North Africa. A tendency to do that with foods. So I'm going to be making that soon. Lots of cilantro. It's lentil and tomato based. Lots of herby goodies in it, and plenty of spice. Basically, think of a lentil soup, but you remove the spinach, added in a shit ton of cilantro, and extra herbs and spices. That's basically what you get. So I'm going to be making harira, and I've got the recipe that I cooked before. I've got it pulled up in a tab for a reason. Trust me, just fucking try making it. And it's inexpensive, too. I mean, you know, all is what, lentils and chickpeas with tomatoey sauce and, you know, some basic bitch vegetables. Other than that, you basically have your herbs and spices and you're good to go. It's really good. Just try it. Just trust me. You can trust the Sticks. You can trust the Vermont Pirate with regards to culinary things. No, we don't need illegal immigrants to do jobs Americans won't. This is a New York Post piece. Well, it's not a huge surprise that they would have that particular tack. Wikipedia editors can't decide if the Minneapolis shooter was a man or a woman. And I can determine it fairly easily. You've got a Y chromosome. You are, in fact, male. You are not a female. You can call yourself a female. I don't think you should be discriminated against for determining that you're a female and calling yourself a female, and I really don't give a shit about government legalese, so if you want to say woman on your government documents, I don't even care about that. But you're not a biological female. You're a biological male. You always will be. There's nothing you can do about it. Again, there's only one genetic abnormality in the entire world that accounts for true transgenderism. And even then, technically speaking, it's not true transgenderism. It is a person that is XY. But there is a secondary and extremely rare mutation that happens that causes them to proceed as effectively a female. They don't have they have a vagina. They have underdeveloped, non-working ovaries, so they're sterile. Technically, they do have testes, but they're not producing any testosterone or anything like that, so nobody would be able to tell them apart from, you know, an actual natural-born female. But that's only like 1 in 10 million people. In fact, I don't even know that it's that much. I believe, actually, it might be closer to 1 in 100 million. So, a little bit different. So we'll talk about Wikipedia. We've been talking about them a lot lately, as though they're still relevant for anything other than AI scraping anyway. Dumbing down the SAT won't serve students well. No shit, Sherlock, by the way. We'll be talking about that. They are systemically attempting to make people more stupid. When a government or an educational edifice attempts to make people retarded, there might be a reason for that. 2026 Texas Senate Republican primary. We've got Paxton versus Cornyn, and guess who is slightly ahead? It's Paxton. Yes, that Ken Paxton, the one that they were trying to railroad before. Looks like Cornyn might have a bad time. Yeah, it's the Cornyn. Yes, Mr. Cornyn. Did a video about it. I thought his name was funny, and I thought, like, if we made him, like, posh, overly British, like Balderdash Piffle at last, Cornyn, thought it'd be funny. I was a little bit drunk when I made that video, by the way. That was many years ago. But, for the few things that Cornyn has done well, really, he's just a goddamn sellout. Seeing him leave is not going to bring a tear to my eye. Let's put it that way. Zoran Mamdani fans have no clue of the horror socialists in a hurry unleash. Again, a no-shit Sherlock moment, but we'll cover it anyway. It's time to audit the death bureaucracy. Yes, this is about assisted suicide. Apparently, a large number of pieces of paperwork related to people who have requested assisted suicide are lost. Yeah, they lost them. How many of these cases were people that did not want to die, but people around them, because they're like a vegetable or something, people around them signed off the paperwork and that it conveniently, accidentally got burned. It got incinerated with the body or something like that. Unfortunately, I believe that this is happening. I personally believe that suicide should be legal. I believe people should be able to seek it. They should not even have to supply a reason. But it must be above board. Other people need to be involved, making sure it is absolutely their specific will to die, either prearranged, they've been incapacitated, but they've got like a statement saying, do not resuscitate. If I'm incapacitated, fucking just goddamn kill me. I don't want to be in a living hell in a coma or something. It's fine. If they request it specifically, they've had some grievous injury, something that is incurable, or they have some terrible mental condition, so they're depressed all the time, they can't function and stuff. I don't believe that the government should be able to force them to be alive. But there has to be consultation and there has to be consent. And then we got some other good articles there too, as well, that we will be going into. This is going to be some good stuff. Yeah, today is a good news day. I would give it a B+ on the good news scale. BW, Sticks, Farage talking to Congress about free speech. Yes, indeed. In fact, I was going to look that up. Give me a moment here. There was another article. Before I get to the sponsors and to the rest of the news. Yeah, there was a comedian that just got... a comedian just got arrested for making a rhetorical question, actually. This is to the Shapiro... Chris Martin. Let's see. Oh, no, he was conversing with Chris Martin of Coldplay, actually. John Cleese, I believe it was. Fundamentally correct, by the way. Yeah, Britain is arresting comedians now for doing comedy. You're not supposed to be funny if you're in the UK, unless it's Monty Python. They're the only ones that get a pass. They can still do it. Well, as we see, some of the time, at least. Of course, people involved with that have been censored too on multiple occasions. It's like as millennial, when you're a kid, you're watching like fucking Mr. Bean and stuff like that, Monty Python. Some of the best comedy that's ever been made in the history of the world, like the really dry British comedy, was always like the go-to when you were a kid, because it was always hilarious. It's the most slapstick, it's the most absurdist comedy that you can possibly find. It's right up there. The only thing that the United States ever created that was comparable was like Gilligan's Island, stuff like that, which is also slapstick, and my favorite series of all time, by the way. And I would love to go to Gilligan's Island and actually live there, because it seemed like they had no shortage of food, let's put it that way. Sounds delicious. I've even got the goddamn cookbook from that show that was made by Mary Ann, actually. And some of those recipes look awfully good. I'd like to try to cook them, actually. Then they got like the cocktails, man. You gotta have that if you're on a desert island, man. You gotta stay wasted all the time. Especially when the giant spider or Soviets show up and try to hamper your party, or the mad scientist with the basketball playing robots, among other things. Must have been a fun time. I can imagine being on that set. They were all high as balls. Come on. Several of them have been arrested for drug possession at various times. But, yeah, another comedian got arrested in the UK. Never should have happened. And now you have an incoming presumptive political movement that wants to end this sort of thing. We'll see how long it lasts. I'm not optimistic with regards to the UK. They've been backsliding away towards authoritarianism now for a very, very long time, and there seems to be no end in sight. No matter how many times the globalists there get defeated, like with Brexit and stuff like that, they always just seem to reamass. And then they hold in their farts a little bit longer, like the typical posh British people that they are, and then they lay waste to the surroundings by blasting it with fart gas. Spider Eternal, so yet another AFD member is dead. Nothing to see here. Totally not sus in any way. Everything is fine. Go back to your lives, you stupid plebes. Yep, talked about that this morning. Yeah, 6 members of AFD in less than 2 weeks died in one province in Germany. 4 of which were running for office, and 2 of which were in reserve to potentially run for office. Now, do I believe that this is a coincidence? No, I don't. I don't believe that it was a coincidence, no. Not even close. Oh yeah, Mighty Boosh. Mighty Boosh is good. Yeah, Mighty Boosh is, but again, that's stoner comedy to the max. Doc Woman Sandy Ravage. Did you see the Epstein victim press conference with Massey, MTG, and Ro Khanna this morning? Seems like a whole lot of nothing. No, I didn't see that, actually. I'll have to take a look. Thank you. Spocko. If Monty Python were still around, they'd have to conform or be in prison. Yeah, I have a feeling you couldn't really make something like Monty Python today. It would be too politically incorrect. It'd be hilarious. That's kind of the point. But it would be too politically incorrect. They should make the N-word show or something like that, where they deliberately do things that are as offensive and off the wall as possible. Like, come out dressed as minstrels and in, like, war paint, and just have the most crude, terrible stereotypes you can possibly have. You know, the blonde bombshell women that are ditzes, you know, redneck women that are sort of with it, but, you know, they're just uncouth and don't have half of their teeth. You know, dudes that, you know, sit on the couch and scarf down the potato chips and shit like that, you know, just watch sports all day. Just make as many crude stereotypes of different groups of people as possible and make a comedy out of it. It'd be hilarious. Everyone would find it funny except for the NIMBYists. Everyone else would find it hilarious. That's what I'm talking about. I liked that one Monty Python skit where he was trying to connect, like the World War I soldier was trying to connect through the radio, and then it had Jesus up on a telephone wire, and then Satan came out of the ground and then turned into a bat and then flew away. I can't remember the name of it, but I thought it was funny. I think they cut that from the program, probably due to censorship. Zoan Sticks, this morning you released a video talking about the negative impacts and the hatred Dems have for poor people. Yeah, I've seen it firsthand. I know what it's like to be poor. The Democrats never handed me anything. I had to do that myself. You didn't mention how Trump either ends conflicts or fights them smartly, thereby saving lives. Our troops are predominantly from poor to middle-income families. Something that a lot of people don't understand. You are correct. Most people that enter the military are from the lower echelons of socioeconomics. Let's say that I have a choice. I'm from small-town America, from, you know, a lower-end working-class family. I can either flip burgers or work in a coal mine, or I can go shoot people and make twice as much money. Which the fuck one do you think that I'm going to do? Military time, it's time for the Navy now, dude. I thought about joining the Coast Guard myself. Back in the day, I was like, you know, until things blew up with my internet career, I'm like, well, there's really no future for me here. And I wanted to join the Coast Guard, actually. I thought about doing that. Then I realized, well, I can probably get a position on Lake Champlain, so I can stay close to home and stuff like that. I mean, it would be fun. And I wouldn't have minded going out into the Atlantic or something like that. It'd be fun, too. I'm a good swimmer. And, you know, as far as the food goes, don't worry. Trust me, I've seen worse. Namely in New Orleans jail. That was a difficult time, culinarily. But I thought about joining them. Ended up not doing so. And I kind of regret it, honestly. If I have one regret as far as my career goes, it's that I didn't join the military. Honestly, if I could go back to when I was in my early 20s, I would have joined the Coast Guard or the Navy. I wouldn't have joined the Marines, though. I don't think that I would cut it as a Marine. I don't think that I would have been capable of doing so. Well, I got up at 6 o'clock and I ran 10 miles, then got yelled at for no reason, and then got, pushed into a briar patch. Yeah. Sir Thomas Drake sent a DM on X about the best pirate history YouTube channel. Arr, matey. Trust me, I've probably already seen it. John Hoyle Voxday, aka Theodore Beale, saw issues with Wikipedia years ago and created Infogalactic as an unbiased site. Didn't take off, though. Joey Segro, I'll donate $10 if you take the hat and sunglasses off. No, my look is not for sale. Oh, let's get to our sponsors really quickly. Leave them. God, we're already 15 minutes in. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills. I take them every morning. There's a reason I'm so high energy. Also, doggo snacks. Those are even more in demand. While these are good, and they work for me, never got a chance to try one of the doggo snacks. But they smelled good. I mean, honestly, fry it up in some butter probably would not be bad. So yeah, cultivated-mind.com. We have BiltongUSA.com. Anton can hook you up with Wagyu, Angus, venison, bison, cabanassi, and all sorts of other great meats, as well as, anytime he's mentioned, Bovrite, Vegemite, and Marmite. And also, too salty, he would say. He's wrong. Also, Stick, Sex, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts available as well. Delicious, by the way. Put some in the Herrera, maybe. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is jamnbean.com. Well, I had the coffee container here, but it's not there anymore. Somebody seems to have moved it. Anyway, we've got Klein Coffee, Costa Rica blend, various teas. The Yunnan Jig is particularly good if you want something caffeinated. If you want it uncaffeinated, I still think... which one's my favorite? I like the pear one, and I like the healer. It's very difficult for me to tell which one I like more. So you should probably just get them both. You know, it is what it is. Delicious. King of Biltong. Salty! Let's see. Kobe and Poppies. Anyone know of good First Amendment lawyers? Oregon DMV is discriminating against our singer over the religious head covering and won't send him his driver's license despite having accepted payment and having issued interim card. I don't think that they make exceptions for headgear for driver's license photos and things like that. I don't think that they do that. You can try, but I wouldn't know any lawyers in your area. So if somebody can help the Kopi and Poppies out there, if you happen to be a lawyer or something like that, and get in touch with them. When are you going to snort the biltong powder? Oh, God. Yeah, I've still got to do that. I will admit that I'm not particularly looking forward to it because I know that it's going to be painful. Also, I don't have a straw, actually, at the moment. I'm going to need people to load me up with a little bit more money before I do that. You got to get a little bit green in this business, you know? I was so happy earlier. I was listening to Today Was a Good Day by Ice Cube, actually. That's how I feel right now. That's my vibe. Kobe and Poppies, they do. Already had a head covering in previous license. I mean, you can talk to the DMV again and be like, you know, what gives? Like, hey, look, here's the previous license he had the head covering on. Hey, is this like a Sikh individual or he wears a turban or something like that? Because I don't know. I mean, I would think that a good lawyer could, you know, I don't know, would they send a cease and desist in that case or something like that? You probably would not want to take it to full court. You'd probably just want to back him down and be like, look, this is retarded, this is ridiculous. Just give him the fucking license. Loon slice. You don't want yeast growing in your head. Yeah, that would be bad. Dexter Spunky, sticks, smog or no smog? There's no smog here in Rutland because there's no industry. The state has pretty much priced it out. Oh yeah, Girl of the Valley, yeah, contact Ricada Law. He might be able to help you. He might know somebody local. That's a good idea, actually, yeah. Alright, let's get to the news. No, we don't need illegal immigrants to do jobs Americans won't. This is by Adam Coleman, actually, on the New York Post. I concur. The idea that, and this is something that actually the left had embraced, at least in part for some time. This goes down one massive ass rabbit hole. Like this rabbit's like 1,000 pounds. It's like the grizzly bear of rabbits. The left championed the concept of closing off the borders generally, except for, certain meritocratic, or somebody, they have a child in the country and somebody's going to take care of them. And so instead of having the taxpayers do it and you let the parents stay there, they can do it, grant them conditional residency as long as they're not doing anything else wrong. These things are perfectly acceptable. But for many, many years, the Bernie Sanders of the Democratic Party championed the idea of closing the U.S. border. And the reason was as thus. Well, if unlimited numbers of people come in illegally into the country, this is going to depress wages for the working class. So people who would otherwise make a little bit more money and therefore be willing to pick the apples, be willing to cut the arugula and the kale for your fucking retarded toast and stuff like that, they're not going to enter the workforce at all. There's no work for them. Because you can't compete with somebody who can be exploited. Somebody who can be exploited can be paid less, and they'll think themselves not ill-used as a result of this. Because they're making far more, and they have far more purchasing power than they ever had in their home country. You take somebody from Venezuela, average income, we're going to live fact check this. All right. We do this occasionally. What's the average yearly income in Venezuela? Okay, the monthly income is about $300. If you therefore are paying someone $1,500, man, oh boy, are they happy. I can buy all sorts of shit. I'm used to, shoestrap budget anyway. I do have to live with some roommates, but, we're paying like collectively $1,000 a month between the six of us. We have running water, and it's free, by the way. We have access to clean food, and we can all send, a considerable amount of money back home. Where our families, I've got 7 fucking kids and, a wife and mamacita over there. But if I send them just like $200 a month, they're going to be high on the hog. They're going to be thinking that they're rich. Well, okay, this works for me. Yeah. So you give them less than minimum wage, and as long as they're working, and they will, work long hours, doing landscaping, arugula picking, avocados, whatever the fuck it happens to be for those rich bitch NIMBYist liberals who can't do it themselves because they're retards, they're not going to think themselves ill-used. They are totally going to undercut American citizens. And by the way, who can blame them? Do you think, in a million years, if I come from a country where the average monthly wage is $300, and I manage to make it to a country that is giving me $1,500 a month, even if I'm working a 60-hour week, which I would have been anyway to make that $300, do you think that I'm going to complain? Some of these people are going to be the best patriots this country has ever seen, actually, because they've already seen the horrors of socialism and communism. By the way, there is a gnat dead in my water. How lovely. Well, if I was in Venezuela, I suppose I would just eat it. Yeah, I don't really want to eat it. No, that's not on my to-do list for the day now. Yeah, if you give them 15, so they're making 5 times the average monthly income. They can give an entire monthly income back to their families, pay another one for their rent, and they've got a shit ton of money left over to buy whatever the hell they want. Honestly, I don't give a depraved shit. I don't have any problem with people that come into the country who are willing to work and so forth. but it is the government's responsibility with regards to the economic structure that makes that a thing. If you didn't have that, then you would have American citizens able, I mean, look, you give me $15 an hour, I'll pick your fucking apples. It's not really that hard. Back-breaking labor, oh my god, picking apples. No, you can pick thousands of dollars of apples in a few hours. It's not really that difficult. In fact, people literally pay to do it themselves. They go to apple orchards, and they will pick their own apples. Which should be more of a thing, you'd think. It would make more sense. Farmer shouldn't even have to pay taxes on that. Yeah, I made $30 from that couple over there. They just wanted fresh apples. Shouldn't even have to declare it. All you have to do is do non-declaration. People will do it them fucking selves. I mean, keep in mind, again, $300 fucking a month. That is the average purchasing power of a Venezuelan. And that's not even the lowest in the world. Look at Haiti, for example. What's Haiti's purchasing power? We're going to look this up. We're going to have some fun. I think it was like 130 or something. Yeah, about $150. So I was close. So imagine that somebody comes over illegally from Haiti, and you're like, hey, you can make an entire month's income in less than a week. Oh yeah, I mean, you're going to have to break your back working, but, you don't have to pay taxes or anything like that because, you're undocumented. You're going to be able to send back a lot of money to your family. Your family will be the richest on the block. It's not saying much for Haiti standards, but at the same time, they won't starve. Your numerous relatives will have food. Your mother will have medicine. Who's going to say no to that? It's the whole thing. We've created a situation, and the left used to be on board with this basic premise, we've created a situation where we're incentivizing people to come into the country illegally. Again, I don't have any problem with someone who wants to come in, work hard, get ahead, and so forth. I have a problem with them. If they're breaking no other further law, I would generally defer as well. But we've incentivized it, and so there are too many people taking advantage of that. The left that used to realize that, including Bernie, I think it was 2004, he made a speech actually on the topic. They've just abandoned ship. They've completely abandoned their principles. The second that Bernie ran for the presidency, he said, oh no, I love the illegals. I think it's terrible what we're doing at the border. You didn't have a problem when they were doing the Obama cages. Let's put it that way. Wikipedia editors can't decide if the Minneapolis shooter was a man or a woman. Well, when your name is Robert and you have a Y chromosome, yeah, you're probably a man. Just saying. Women generally do not involve themselves in mass shootings. They are much more likely to use poison, actually. If you look at research into killings, you'll find that women tend to take the more stealthy mode. They're more likely to spike your drink with arsenic or something like that, or cyanide. Men are more likely to bash you in the skull. So, with regards to shooting, the initial assessment is usually there's a 90% chance that it had a dick, at least at one time. These days, you can never be sure, which is funny. Wikipedia needs to grow a pair. Really, what needs to be done is that we need an investigation into Wikipedia, because AI systems scrub Wikipedia all the time for knowledge, and most of it is just biased bullshit. And here's the big problem, by the way, with AI. The biggest problem with AI is not the existence of AI itself, it's the human bias that goes into the things that it is trained on. Wikipedia articles, videos, etc. Art, in fact. When it's generating images. What do you think it's basing those images on? It's basing it on things that people have already created. It's just collating them and training itself on them. And so you're going to get a bias, a perturbation in favor of certain kinds of styles and designs that a clean rig wouldn't give you, in other words. This is probably not a huge problem for art and for music and stuff. Hell, some of the AI music is hilarious, like I Am the Motherfucker is an AI song. Or Mayor Breslin, You're gonna learn a lesson in this delicatessen. One of the funniest goddamn songs I've ever made. It's hilarious. It's basically a fanfic about this like 70s ass pimp dude who goes into the restaurant and he's trying to order a sandwich, but they're too slow, so he just kills the dude and chokes him to death with a stack of deli meat, and he's like, "You're gonna learn a lesson, bitch." Very funny song. Anyway, look that up. You're gonna learn a lesson in this delicatessen. I guarantee you'll probably like it. If you like 70s sort of semi-Motown funk, you'll definitely like it. And if you like just funny shit, you probably like it too. But AI has its limitations because it's trained on things that were made by humans. And humans are biased and humans are fallible. And so it's become a problem, actually. Wikipedia is one of the vanguards of this problem. Because when I was a kid, and when most of you were younger, Wikipedia was almost entirely publicly sourced. So anyone could go in there and confirm their email, they start editing articles, and unless they're putting in something that's quite clearly wrong or quite clearly hyperbolic or something like that, it would stay. It would be there. Some of my edits on Wikipedia are probably still there now from back in the day. But those are on non-political articles. Instead, Wikipedia's super editors decided to effectively lock down the site so that anything that could possibly be up for significant public debate, anything political, certainly certain medical things, we won't mention that on the YouTube live stream for a reason, etc., they took it over themselves personally, and so the inherent bias is foreshortened even further. Instead of having a broad plethora of people across different socio-political ideologies, debating over what should be included or discluded from the article. Instead, they end up with an echo chamber. Unfortunately, AI programs are scraping Wikipedia, and part of the reality that they're attempting to impart to other people, and this isn't just, like Grok or something, Microsoft's AI does the same thing, Google's AI, Amazon, so forth. All of the AI programs, they scrape Wikipedia. And so you're not getting an adequate view of reality. You're getting a very curated one. You might as well just get your reality from Wikipedia. It's just that the AI makes it faster to access it. Big problem. Cam2425IA, super editors sounds like super delegates, lol. Exactly! You have nailed it exactly! Couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly what they've done. CZO, have you noticed the wave of civic nationalism happening across the developed world? There are even protests in Japan demanding immigrants assimilate and respect their cultural identity as their right to demand. When in Rome, do what the fucking Romans do. That's all you gotta do. Dab Shank the First. I remember as a teenager, our side gig was doing yard work on weekends until the illegals came in and replaced us. Then boomers told us, you kids just don't want to work. That shit was infuriating. Yeah, I've seen that before from some people, yeah. You kids expect everything. Why aren't you flipping burgers for me? Well, I can't get a job as a burger flipper because some dude that just wandered in from Honduras took the job. So he's willing to work for sub-minimum wage. I can't really compete with that, legally speaking. Yeah, the boomers want a complete service economy with a bunch of servants. It's like they're living in one of their old 50s and 60s movies. You know how they had that sort of resurrection of movies about like ancient Rome and Egypt and stuff like that, and there were always a bunch of like servants and concubines and stuff? It's sort of like that when you think about it. It's like they're trying to relive their childhood or some shit. Sassmaster, do you think the left embraced illegal labor to change the demographics of the country? Also, do you think a big backlash will come of this? Partially, and yes. I think partially that was the reason, but that's more from the malevolent side of things. Some leftists are just ideologues. They're not trying to be evil, they're trying to do good, actually, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions now, isn't it? Yeah, you can't even. And by the way, like, I mean, you set up a lemonade stand, you need to get like a certificate for food safety and shit like that in some states. So how are you supposed to compete? You know, people that are in the ghetto in some illegal community, they'll set up shop. Cops aren't coming around. They don't dare to go into those neighborhoods. They'll just sell their fucking lemonade. I mean, they might get raped in the process, but you know. Yeah, I want Japan for the Japanese. When I go there, I ain't going to McDonald's. Let's put it that way. I think that different societies deserve to be different. There's nothing wrong with this. If I go to England, I want a full English. If I go to Japan, I want like sushi and weird shit from vending machines. Like apparently they have pizza slices in vending machines. Sign me up. If I go to Eastern Europe, I want borscht. I'm not interested in going to fucking McDonald's. Fuck you. CCO, the 24 election changed the world. Populism rise. Oh, that reminds me of a song I was thinking of yesterday. Thank you so much for reminding me of that. I can't remember. Oh yes, Hexentans, Asmodeus Rise. Good song, by the way. It's pagan in nature. Skippy, big snood, my dudes. Big snood. Carl Crump, too late to explore the world, too early to explore space. Ah, but just in time for dank memes. Just be happy we occupy a very special time in human history. Copium Poppies. He formed his own religion, the Church of Not a Cult. He required to wear a head covering of his choosing when being photographed in a government institution and can't be coerced into not doing so. I like the cut of your jib, my man, and your friend. Yeah. I would think that technically, I mean, if it's not a recognized religion, it might not be protected directly under the First Amendment. But if he had it in the prior photograph, I can't imagine why they would make him take it off in the next one. It doesn't make any sense. You'll have to look into it. I mean, I can't really give you any meaningful information on that. I'm not a lawyer. Disclaimer, I am not a legal advisor. But that does sound strange. I mean, if he did have it on before, who cares? King of Biltong, craving a snack that's bold, authentic, and packed with protein? Hell yeah, my man. Biltong boasts over 50% protein, packed with B vitamins, creatine, iron, zinc, and more. BiltongUSA.com. Use code STICKS for 10% off. I suggest that you all take up the offer. It is delicious. I'm thinking about taking the Cabanassi or maybe the Angus, cut it up really fine, and then slow cook it with like a really nice buttery sauce, and then add it to some like vegetables and shit, and put it in a soup. The Cabanassi probably would be really good if you chop that up and you put it inside of wonton noodles. I can sort of think about the taste of things before I actually taste them, and think about whether they would taste good, and honestly, if that was cooked in a competent chicken broth, I think that would be delicious, actually. I'm going to have to try it at some point. Emperor Soft Turtle, did you see Bill Maher and David Mamet were on the podcast, and Bill admits the left killed the nuclear family and trying to cope about why. I can DM you clip if you want. I would very much appreciate that. Yeah, they are trying to kill that because if people have communities, so everyone's got their nuclear family, they're intact, more or less. And then you've got like your neighborhood, and then you've got sort of your community loyalty and stuff. People are capable of massive amounts of organization. You got to realize most of the tribes that existed maybe 1,000 years ago, those communities were only a few hundred people. So if you can get a few hundred people together with modern technology and modern planning and all of the other things that we have today, they'll tell the government to fuck itself. Yeah, we don't need the police. We can defend ourselves. We got lots of guns. We don't need your food. We're growing it ourselves. Go a fucking way. Oh, your medicine? Yeah, that old lady down the street, she knows all about herb lore. So, again, pound sand. They are afraid of this happening. Very much afraid. Patrick, the stream is choppy. Ah, shit. All right. See if on Rumble, can anyone tell me, is there a problem with the audio slash video? Sounds like RFK Jr. The audio is going in and out. Bitch on a prick. Let me check. Okay. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. That may or may not be better. Yes, yes, I know. I know that I'm choppy. I'm doing the best that I can. My connection is perfectly fine. Yeah, there are no problems with the network, so piss. It can't possibly be a cold. I didn't touch any colds. All right, give me a second. Let me try to reset the audio here. I don't know if you can even hear me at the moment. I'm going to try to figure this out. Fuck my ass. Fuck my life. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Is it better? Did it decide to work? Go to the roof and check your antenna. I know about Alt F4 Bobby Robinson. That's an old joke. Piss. Happens all the time. Doc Holiday, I can gift subs, but I can't figure out how to sub. I give up. How do I sub? I don't know. You just go to my channel if you're on Rumble and you subscribe. No, it's not. Rabbit, did you get my love letter, Sticks? Lol. No, I haven't actually yet, but if you want to send me one, you can absolutely do so. I love getting letters from people who follow my content. What the Jesus H. Christ. Okay, let's see if that has worked better. Bristolan, off topic. My favorite Monty Python sketch, The Garden Party by Ken Russell. It was not by Ken Russell for the uninitiated. Copy poppies. Sent. Okay, some people are saying that it's better, and some people are saying that it hasn't improved at all. I don't know, because I get trolled constantly, so it's just a fixture of the channel at this point. Check your headset, Mike. This is Tarred and Feathered. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have it on there. Let me check the volume settings. Yeah, that should be using the right input device. It doesn't matter what output device I'm using because I don't have my audio on at all. Um, just give me a moment, everyone. I'm having a few audio issues here. Not a surprise. Yeah, fuck the troubleshooter. Okay. That should be working fine. Yeah, I don't know exactly what's happening with the audio at the moment, unfortunately. It's not a huge surprise. Happens all the time. Broken Prophet, turn your dish. Now, I've got video. It's definitely not the internet connection. That's perfectly fine. I've got 1 gig internet, so, that's great. Doc Holiday, it's perfect now. Okay, some people are saying that it's doing fine. Some people are saying that it's not doing fine. I'm just going to continue and assume that, for the most part, people are actually hearing me. I can, and no abstract cats. I can't restart the PC. I'm on a live stream. What am I going to do? Restart the whole thing? There is one thing I can possibly do. It might downgrade the audio, but if at the same time it's actually working, let's check moving to the Logitech Brio, actually, for audio purposes. All right, here goes nothing. You may not hear me when I switch this over, and I may be downgraded, but it might fix the problem. Okay, now I'm on the Logitech Brio. It's not as high fidelity as the Yeti, but if the Yeti is having problems, then I really have no choice. So we'll see if that works. Also, I believe the mail just came. Nice. Piss on a dick. Alright, so clearly that didn't fix the problem. Oh, God. Okay, we're gonna go back. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Stop yelling. Well, if my audio is overmodulated, there's nothing that I can apparently do about it right now. So I'm going to have to reconsider my setup. I do actually want to get a new microphone. I really like the AT2020. And the Cam 35 was actually really good for being a low-priced microphone. That was actually spectacular. It was only like $40, and it's probably more now because of Bidenomics, but it was really clear and crisp. It just didn't really have the bass in it, so you can't use that for making music or anything like that. But as far as recording, actually, it was pretty good, honestly. Or was it the Cam 37? I can't remember, 35 or 37. It was one of those. That was the one that I used for several years there. I really, really liked that microphone. It was lightweight. It was easily transportable. Never had connection issues. Worked with everyone very well as far as our programs go. And overall was really good. Go to this Crow. It's not just audio. It's the stream. Yeah, I figured it probably was. But I had to troubleshoot on my end just to make sure. Anyway, we'll talk about more news. Dumbing down the SAT won't serve students well. This is a no shit Sherlock sort of article, but it bears mentioning. they have been attacking the SAT and ACT scoring tests. These are basically when you're a senior in high school, you take these tests if you intend to go to college, and they give you a score. And that score is generally indicative of sort of your aptitude. So, should you be going to should you not go to college? You're fucking, it's probably not a good idea. Or maybe you go to training in like an academy, blue collar work like plumbing, electricity. You realize how much money those people make to start sometimes. Once they go freelance, holy shit, they can make goddamn six figures. So plumbing, electricity, stuff like architecture, that would be considered skilled blue collar labor. Or maybe they go in for, an associate's degree, liberal arts, or maybe they go into a specialty, they get a master's, maybe they get a PhD to become a scientist or something like that. And the goal of the SAT and ACT is, of course, to figure out roughly where that person falls. Now, the funny thing is, I got a very high SAT score and a good ACT score as well. And I think that was the first year that they had the third section. They had a different scoring system and shit like that. I think they've reversed it now, but yeah, I got a high score on the SAT. Especially in math, which is hysterical to me because I fucking hate math. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you're good at something that you hate. Well, I'm really good at butchering animals, but I always cry every time that I hit one in the head with my sledgehammer. It'd be sort of the same thing. And so that was fun. I remember there was this one kid when I was taking the SAT, right? And he was a couple of seats away off to the right of me. And he looked the entire goddamn time like he was going to puke up all over himself. Like, that meme where there's that kid and he's sitting there straining and his veins are popping out of his neck? He looked like that. In fact, he looked a little bit like that kid. And so he's just sitting there, like, making gulping noises and looking like he's going to puke all over his fucking test. And he must have been nervous as fuck and or maybe sick. I don't know. I didn't ask him. That was a very, very strange day, by the way, on multiple levels. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But he managed to get through it, I suppose. I can't remember. It was out of 2,400, I think, and I got like a 1970 or something like that. So, yeah, pretty good score. I can remember. I knew this one poor kid. I won't use their name. He was really, really hoping to go to a good college. Like, his parents really, really amped up the pressure. Like, basically, you might as well not fucking come back if you don't get a good score. And he didn't bomb it, but it was clearly substandard. And I was like, oh shit, this poor dude. I remember before the SAT, I was reading Dante's Inferno, actually, before the test. I can remember that. And then afterwards, my mom wasn't there to pick me up, like, because the test was done early and shit, and she had to work at McDonald's. I'd had to wait there like 4 hours. And so I'm just sitting out front, hanging out, have a good time. And this very cute girl actually offered to drive me home. And I was like, on the one hand, this could be really fucking great. On the other hand, yeah, but at the same time that I'm going to get shit because at the time I was too poor to afford a cell phone, had no way to contact my mother. And so I said, oh no, I'll just wait here. And so I just had fun hanging out. Yeah, she cute. Just saying. Yeah, no, I got a very good score on both the SAT and the ACT. Is why I got an UVM. But dumbing it down is a terrible idea. It doesn't have to be the only metric. Here's what I think we should do with college enrollment. It's very, very simple and straightforward, and it avoids any possibility of any form of discrimination. When you apply for a college, you submit your SAT score, and they see those categories. You submit your ACT score. You submit your GPA. You do not give them your name. You do not give them your race. You do not give them your ethnicity. You do not give them your gender or anything like that. Religion, yeah, fuck all that shit. Blind enrollment, that's what we need. All you need to know about that person is how good they are at solving math problems and memorizing historical quotes and stuff like that. If they're competent, then maybe you say, yeah, they can come in. Oh, we don't want them here because they're in a meritocratic system. They're just not cut out for it. And so people will tend to fall into the economic rungs in which they're most likely to succeed. Taking somebody who gets a really low score on the SAT and jury rigging them into Stanford is not a good idea. That is not the way that you have nuclear engineers and roboticists and stuff like that for the next generation. That's not the way that you get good professors. It's not the way that you get good doctors. What you need to do is take the people that have shown they know what they're talking about, they are knowledgeable, they are intelligent, and you put them in roles and in places where they can best succeed. This was a problem for me for many years. When I was a child, I grew up in Woodstock. This is a very, very small, it's not even a town, it's a village over on the other side of Vermont. They didn't really have gifted programs or anything like that. They had the basic curriculum, but other than debate and to an extent advanced mathematics, and that was just a teacher volunteering to do that for a few of us, they didn't have anything else available. There was no advanced science. There was no advanced English. I'm sitting here, I'm reading 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Everyone else is reading Hop on Pop. No goddamn shit. I got bored. And so I acted out over and over. So they thought that I was the problem. They didn't have those programs available. When I got to high school, everything was fine. All of a sudden, I'm like, wow, honors programs and AP and stuff like that. You're no longer bored. That's the whole point. With regards to these tests towards a person's potential, one person is like, okay, you're reasonably smart, but you're not going to be a goddamn brain surgeon. Well, we can try to find you something that you're interested in, get you higher education. Maybe it's blue-collar work, maybe it's white-collar work. Doesn't matter. There's no shame in these things. Do what you have aptitude for. Meanwhile, you get this weird situation where people who are at the bottom of the intellectual totem pole are put in Harvard simply because of the color of their skin, knowing full well that the only thing that they're going to do is become a craptivist or something like that. And you've got people that are exceptionally intelligent who are bored out of their skulls because they were denied their position, and now they're trying to get a double associate's degree, in which you need now to flip burgers at McDonald's probably. So, good luck to you. Take out $50,000 of debt to work at Burger King or something like that. The way that we run the educational system. And you've got people, brilliant people, people whose IQ far outstrips any of ours. People with a fucking 160 IQ that are flipping burgers and stuff like that. I think that their ingenuity is being slightly wasted. Just saying. Copium poppies. Get a proper interface with phantom power and a condenser mic. You can use for recording vocals and streaming. Oh, Copium missed one. Sorry about that. What did I miss that? Check your DM. Sent you one in response to your vids earlier. Yeah, well, I didn't miss that one. Where's the other one that I missed? Oh, the government doesn't get to choose what is and isn't a religion. Religion is a very personal thing. The very idea of recognized religions is discrimination and a First Amendment violation. See, I agree with you completely. The problem is that the courts haven't caught up with that agreement. Citizenship should also be listed for blind enrollment. Citizens should be given priority. You wouldn't want to list it. No. You simply have to keep people who are not legally in the country out of the educational system entirely. Lawful resident, whether conditional or not, perfectly fine. I like to believe that Americans are generally intelligent people, unless they happen to become politicians. Ballcraft, bring back IQ tests instead. Apparently, originally I thought I was at 132, which is like, bright, I guess. But apparently I'm actually 146. I dug out the paperwork. I've got the original IQ test paperwork. Apparently, my IQ is 146 or some shit like that. I don't know. I don't give much intelligence to it. I mean, much appreciation to it. It doesn't matter. IQ is an arbitrary measurement. But if you're measuring people on the SAT, that is a pretty straightforward, unbiased test. So, if can you solve math problems? Do you know a bit about history? Do you know how to read and write and do these things? Those are kind of important, no matter what job you're in. So I think that IQ tests should be standardized and administered, but I give them a little bit less importance than the SAT. That's more of the utilitarian, the pragmatic side of intelligence. Copium poppies. Citizens should get priority even if non-citizen is here legally. Well, yeah, but the understanding is if someone is a lawful permanent resident, they're probably trying to become a citizen. So I don't really have a problem with that. It's not like somebody who just wandered across the Rio Grande and, popped out a baby or something like that. It's a little bit different. Oh, yeah, this one is good. This one is fun. Ken Paxton has pulled ahead of Cornyn, the immortal Senator Cornyn, yes, over in Texas. It looks like you may have a new senator in the state of Texas, and it might not be John Cornyn, which I think that all of us who are sane probably are happy about. Just saying, as an outsider looking in, being a non-Texan, I'm not represented by Cornyn, Paxton, or any of these people. But having been in Texas, wanting the best for the people of Texas, can you please go with Ken Paxton? Because at the very least, he knows how to face off against the Uniparty instead of guzzling their cock like Cornyn does, and wouldn't be an embarrassment to the Republican Party. You have the power at this point to do something incredible for the Texas Republican Party, of which I'm not part, either Texan or Republican, but at the very least, when I look at the Democrats across the aisle, when I look at the things that they are fomenting and saying that they want to do, it would be nice if you had more Republicans that were reasonably well spoken, capable of standing for themselves, capable of standing up for others. That would be nice. It would be nice to have that. So, yeah, I hereby endorse Ken Paxton for that position. Fuck John Cornyn. John Cornyn is basically like W anyway. I mean, other than his name sounding kind of funny, like you can imagine him in a top hat with a little mustache, and there's the Cornyn. All of the armies in the world will soon be assembled into the army of Cornyn. Yes, there's nothing you could do. I did like making that video, and Cornyn is funny, but is he politically helpful? No, not really. Copium poppies. No, people come from abroad to go to school here and go back. Trump literally wants to bring in 60,000, it's actually 600,000 CCP spies to go to school. They're not all spies. And they do have residency, by the way. They're on visas, student visas specifically. So they have conditional temporary residency of a sort. Again, having been married to both a Mexican and a Dutch woman, I've got probably more of an understanding of the immigration process than the average American. It is a very, very complex, convoluted piece of shit, basically, in the legislative sense. Trying to maneuver around that without a lawyer, good luck. Good fucking luck. Yeah. 10 years later, you got conditional residency and then immediately got deported. That is the sort of thing that would happen, dude. So I'm very glad that Paxton has seemingly pulled ahead of Cornyn. He's got a 2.3 advantage, and that's in the RCP average. So he is ahead of Cornyn. There was one poll where Cornyn was ahead. That was Emerson, but we can pretty much ignore Emerson for the most part. He's only ahead in one of the 6 most recent polls. I have a feeling that Paxton is probably going to win, which is great. It's definitely great for the nation. That's what I'm talking about. Copium puppies, how do you know they aren't all spies? I don't. I'm just saying it's unlikely that the CCP unleashed hundreds of thousands of spies in the US. They've already got several million across the Western world anyway. I don't know why they would need more. You know, you can't fund all of the spies. Eventually, you run out of money. Tarred and feathered. Holy balls, the salt flows tonight. Oh, what are you talking about? If the salt is flowing, then I need breaking news, I suppose. Zoran Mamdani fans have no clue of the horror socialists in a hurry unleash. It's been said that if you're not a communist at 20, you have no heart, but if you're not a capitalist by 30, you have no brain. That's a slight bastardization of the term, but I've heard it before. That's all too befitting the sad farce of New York's mayoral race led by frontrunner Zoran Mamdani. How does Mamdani, as the only major candidate who comes close to the 20 to 30 age range, measure up? Mamdani's smiling, youthful energy attracted many real 20 to 30-year-old New Yorkers, as well as many older 20-somethings at heart. I have not found any single person that I know from New York City that supports him. I have a good friend from New York City, and she's like, she's voting Cuomo, actually. She's like, yeah, fuck this shit. His wealth of socialist and communist ideas, abolishing private property, seizing the means of production, and reproduction, man, be a sex scandal there, defunding the police, freezing rent, providing free public transportation, establishing government-run stores, and more, make many such 20-somethings swoon. I'm going to stop you there, dude. And this will be the last news story. I'll pile the others over into tomorrow, I think. I have talked with many 20-somethings and people in their late teens and their early 30s, that the sweet spot where people are young enough to do activism and be entranced in some cases by politics, but at the same time, they're still on the young side. So not some old fogey that, hobbles around with a cane and pounds on the door and vote for my candidate, stuff like that. I've talked to plenty of these people, thousands of them. I have noticed that people that are in that age range, they're not swooning for socialism. If anything, they're going off in the other goddamn direction. Hell, sometimes they become a little bit too right-wing and moralistic for me. And not exactly a liberal these days. I voted for Obama in 2008. Then I admitted that I had made a mistake because I actually have self-awareness. Then, of course, you got Ron Paul and Donald Trump, and the rest is history. By the way, damn it, I was going to get kefir earlier. Forgot to buy it. Just one of those random realizations that you have. It's that yogurt drink with the fruit inside of it. It's delicious, by the way. Anyway, I have not noticed people that are in their 20-something range really giving a shit about people like Mamdani. If anything, it's more like it's the Gen Xers more than anything. It's not even the boomers. It's not even the boomers anymore. A bunch of Gen Xers are supporting fucking commies and shit like that. They're the ones that are propping this shit up. Look, the so-called greatest generation, which is actually the shittiest generation, they're all dying off, so they're really no longer an issue. They're in politics, but they're dying. They're slowly dying. The boomers, they've got their yachts and their third homes, and so they just vote straight whatever party their daddy voted for. It's Gen X that's responsible. It reminds me of that song. Listen to this song, please. I beg of you to listen to the song. Gen X Cops by Vampire Weekend. And literally, just listen to the lyrics. It reminds me so much of the current socio-political situation. It's like you were supposed to be the ones that would be eternal rebels. You were the ones that were supposed to stand against this bullshit. You were supposed to help us. But you failed. And then I turn my ire to the millennials, my fellow millennials, and I say, look at the voting cohort that was most likely to wear the face diaper and things like that. You goddamn retarded sellouts. I feel sorry for you, but honestly, I kind of wish that you were just in a crater of flaming lava at the moment. Honestly, I have no respect for my own generation. I have way more respect for the Gen Zs. Way more respect for the kids. They're all right. They're already fighting back. Thank you. Please do, because you're not going to be able to count on the average person in my generation or the slightly older generation to do that. It's unfortunate. If we all stood together, everything would be fine, but people aren't doing that. Just the way that it is. BW. Trump needs to add an amendment to make America officially capitalist. Make communism illegal. Not to speak. They can still speak. They just can't be in government. Yeah, that wouldn't work. Let's see. Copium. They may not knowingly be spies. The CCP approves anyone who comes. That's close enough. Well, yeah, they're going to be spies. But I mean, there always have been. We've got spies in China, too. There's not a whole lot to be done about it. Someone wants to come and spend a shit ton of money in the United States to get an overpriced education. That's all right, I guess. Doc Holliday. The mental gymnastics it must take for someone that has witnessed the events of the last 10 years to believe that the Democrats and their intel toadies had Epstein dirt on Trump but sat on it. Yeah, I like that. Good point. Yeah, Trump was on the Epstein list. Ha ha ha. No, but we're not going to release it. You're not allowed to see it. Logi, are you gay or trans, Sticks? Be honest. Neither. I'm super straight, and I have a Y chromosome. And a dick. I would show you, but most of you don't have magnifying glasses on hand, so, you wouldn't see anything. I love making jokes about myself. I don't trust anyone that can't do that, by the way. Ian Angel, Tom Arnold has Trump's Epstein evidence. Oh, yeah. You remember when he said that he had that tape, the Pissgate tape? And then he was like, well, I'm not going to release it because I've gotten death threats. Oh, that's the perfect time to release it, dude. You've got the tape, fucking release it. Lash out at people. Or are you a pussy? Or is it because the tape doesn't exist? I have a feeling that we know the answer. Tom Arnold slept with Roseanne Barr, so he's willing to do anything. At least she's got, like, a semblance of a personality. Most people in, Hollywood don't seem to do so. Gun to head, who do you fuck? Roseanne Barr or Rosie O'Donnell? I'm choosing Roseanne Barr, that's for sure. Mr. Mission Control. Pirate or Buccaneer, Sticks? Pirate. Pirates are charged a buccaneer for their piercings, actually. Ha 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 ha. Dad joke time. Ha 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 ha. Copium poppies. I identify as an octopus, part of the cephalopod community. My pronouns are octoself and cephaloself. Octopuses are pretty cool. Yeah, look up Gen X Cops by Vampire Weekend. Some people thought like it was gay when I was sharing that song, and I'm like, you don't like this song? This is some great shit. What are you talking about, dude? I don't fit in with any singular genre. Just to be clear, I like to listen to all sorts of stuff. I can listen to old swing music like Benny Goodman, early jazz, all the way up through like the best hits of the 70s. You get some Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, all that shit. Get some Iron Butterfly. Always a good decision. Along with all of those others, the Beatles, the Beach Boys, of course. Then you get up into the 80s, I like pretty much everything, including the really, really weird, campy 80s music. Grunge rock is good. Hell, sometimes I even like to listen to like Sheryl Crow and that bullshit from the 90s. Then in the 2000s, you have quite a bit of good rock, actually. And then you get the retro wave experience. And now you have this weird I don't even know if it has a genre name. Have you noticed that a lot of the poppy, sort of vaguely hip hop music lately also has like a cabaret element? It makes it sound like there's a bunch of flappers dancing around and you're titillating yourself with a whiskey sour or something like that. I've just noticed this. It's just the sound, you know. Iron butterflies, fire, patch Christ. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, dark wave, gothic, classic rock, new wave retro. I don't give a shit. There are only two genres that I despise. Improv jazz, which is not music at all. Sorry, not sorry. Don't give a fuck what you think about me for believing that. Don't like it. And the country western rock sort of crossover, like the Garth Brooks bullshit. Old school country, great. Hillbilly banjos and stuff. That's perfectly fine. Old school folk, that's great too. New wave country that's like got a political message that harkens actually back to the 50s and 60s more than anything else. With some of the protest music, a lot of that was actually folk and country. Most people, like, I'm no communist. Just look that up. Most people don't even know this if they haven't looked into musical history. But that unsweet spot within the 90s and 2000s, where you've got like the, how the dog got ran over, my wife done left me for the whiskey bottle, and like stupid shit like that. It's like the most simplistic simpleton lyrics you can possibly have. It's retarded. Not interested. Ronald Simmons, The Byrds. Yes, absolutely. Didn't they do Turn, Turn, Turn? I think they did Turn, 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 if I remember correctly. I love that song. I think that was The Byrds. Yeah, that was The Byrds. To everything there is a season. I like that old hippie folk music. To everything, turn, turn, turn. Copium poppies. Identify as an octopus, part of the cephalopod community. Oh, wait, you already said that before. Randall Flagg, Sticks, why do Ben & Jerry's founders exert undue political influence despite being no more than ice cream peddlers? They don't actually. They sold out. The original Ben & Jerry's belongs to the Coca-Cola Corporation. They sold. They have their own Ben & Jerry's ice cream that is only available up in the Champlain Valley. I've never had it because I don't really eat ice cream. But it's not the same as the original company. They decided to develop their own like hippie trippy blend. They'll probably sell that off before they die too. I can't imagine how much money they fucking made. Copium Poppies. Remember the Goo Goo Dolls? Yes, Iris. Great song. They were a good band every other song. They let their bassist sing on half the songs, and the voices like nails on a chalkboard. I don't want the world to see me because I don't think that they'd understand. One of my favorite songs, actually, of all time. That'd be on my top 20 list. Wow, I'm out of water. I have to go offline soon. Yeah, I really like Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls. It's funny, the 90s were such a goddamn bipolar period. On the one hand, you have like really, really great shit. You've got Ozzy making new hits like No More Tears and stuff like that. So you got like the MTV rock experience. You've got stuff like Iris. Really, really great song. It's like, it's emotional, but it's also rocky, and it's sort of that, sort of 90s slash early 2000s sound. It just works. You have, I Would Do Anything from Love and stuff like that. You have sort of a resurgence of some of the 70s individuals. You have this with Jefferson Starship, actually. Towards the end of the 80s, into the 90s, I mean, I heard it for years and years. We built this city, and before it was like White Rabbit, and now it's like, we stopped doing the soft drugs, now we're doing the hard drugs. Listen to our shit. And over you have this sort of story. Depeche Mode, my favorite band of all time. In the 80s, they're doing completely different stuff than they did in the 90s and 2000s. You got a much more raw, techno-ized experience. Michael Jackson, he was doing the same thing. He had that one, what's the name of that song? There was that song that took place in a spaceship or something like that, and he did that with Janet Jackson. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a good song. And so you had all this great music actually floating around. Yes, Copium, I know Iris wasn't sung by the bassist. I'm aware of this fact. But I'm just saying I like the song. But yeah, Jefferson Airplane became Jefferson Starship. And then you have Yes, of course. Love Will Find a Way. That was an 80s song, but it straddled on well into the goddamn 1990s. In fact, I think it was their biggest hit, actually, if I remember correctly. And they had been doing like psychedelic stuff. You know, back in the 60s and 70s, it was all like, yeah, man, you smoke the weed, man. And it's like, oh, we found cocaine in the dresser. What's this white powdery substance? Holy shit, I need to go write a song. That's basically what happened. Copium poppies. Iris wasn't sang by the bassist. That's why it's good. Iris is from the good half of their discography. Yeah, I know. I acknowledge that. Yes, Owner of a Lonely Heart, says CP Simple. That was another good song. I remember listening to that while I was roaming around killing things in GTA Vice City when I was a kid. Yeah, you had so much good music, but it's funny. In the 90s and early 2000s, a lot of the best music actually was from artists from the 70s and 80s. So again, like Yes, Jefferson Airplane, stuff like that. Ozzy, of course. Dio, to an extent. And many others. You also had, Billy Idol did some stuff. You get Cyberpunk, that was 93 or something like that. Totally underrated. One of the most underrated goddamn albums of all time, and one of the most transformative, by the way. Literally leading us into the computer generation, musically wise. Totally underrated. Marilyn Manson goes MTV mode. And releases like The Dope Show and stuff like that. So you've got the transformation there with the MTV generation, among other things. The Eurythmics, Lennox went solo for a while, did Love Song for a Vampire, and Diva. That was 95, if I remember correctly. And then sort of emerges back out. They went acoustic more than anything. Then Cyndi Lauper, she temporarily went acoustic. I'm on a rant at this point. Fuck it. She went acoustic for a short period of time, but then she came to her senses, and then she did Into the Nightlife, which, by the way, is one of the best Cyndi Lauper songs that you've probably never heard. And it charted, but it never became a big hit. But it deserved to. And you had this over and over, and then you have like Madonna with Hung Up. That was a good song. It's like she hasn't done anything good since then, but at the time that was 2006 or something like that. It's like competitive with fucking Lady Gaga, I suppose, who did the second best Super Bowl halftime show. So actually 2000s music was very bipolar, so was 90s music. If you listen to the standard pop charts and shit like that, you got Sheryl Crow and the fucking Blackstreet Boys and all these other morons, people with no talent. It's just like, okay, you got a lot of money to sing. I'm very happy for you. I'm glad that you can afford a limo that you'll have to sell next year to pay off all the debt that you're probably going to accrue. But other than that, you do you. Look at NSYNC. Look at Justin Timberlake. By the way, his solo work, better than anything that he did with NSYNC. But at the same time, you got a lot of dross. You got a lot of retarded shit. That's just the way that the 90s and 2000s were. For those of you too young or too old to remember, yeah. It's basically like you get one really big hit, and then you get 5 misses. That was basically the music. Copium, also, Matchbox 20's album Yourself or Someone Like You is a solid album, not one bad track. Yeah, I mean, you gotta say, there's some really good shit from that era, but there's also a lot of really wacky shit. The Wanderer, Styx, do you like the Monkees? Listen to the band. One of my dad's favorites, and yes, I have listened to the Monkees. Mr. Buster Pants, do you like Alice in Chains? Absolutely. Taco Woman Sandy Ravage. Today's country music is pretty much pop and hip-hop with violins and lap steel. Yeah, see, that's the problem. I want, like, the old school, like, folk country. Mike the Womp. Clank, Tarl? Clank to you, too. I've seen CCR mentioned. Yes, CCR is one of my favorite bands. I like to put on my M1 helmet and sit on the bed and put on a soundboard with, like, you know, the M16 rifle, like, sound. And then I'll sit there pretending that I'm firing at Viet Cong and stuff. I mean, come on, it's fun. Mr. Buster Pants, lol, Chains, Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains is the Chinese spin-off, I believe, of that band. Ha! Yeah, but I do like them. By the way, please send no more super chats. I'm going to hold these others over, I believe, for tomorrow. I may talk about the soup, actually, more tomorrow, too. Doc Holliday, Sticks, who has a nastier pussy, Nikki Haley or Joy Reid? Well, that would be Joy Reid. Nikki Haley, I'm sure, is perfectly clean down there. I would not worry about that. Yeah, she's cute. Yeah, Nikki, you know. Definitely, Joy Reid could not, I mean, fuck. The bigger question would be like, hey, you've got to fuck one of these two people. You have become immortal. You are incapable of killing yourself. You will be strapped down and forced to fuck one of these two people. Which one will you proceed with? Will it be Joy Reid or Whoopi Goldberg? Muhahaha, my evil plan has taken a toll on your spirit already just by hearing that. Now, answer. Joseph Buck. Oh, Rammstein. Leibach. Rammstein totally ripped off Leibach. I was actually talking with with a friend earlier about this. Look up Leibach. Life is life. Copium Poppies. I've seen Alice in Chains 3 times, and Jerry Cantrell twice. Met everyone in the band except Jerry and Lane Staley. Didn't get to see them when he was like 2 of us in the band. Huh. Yeah, so now we'll see. Will you fuck Whoopi Goldberg or Joy Reid? The choice is yours, but you do not have a choice. You must fuck one of them. And you must do full penetration, too. And you have to bring yourself to orgasm, if you're a dude. If you're a girl, well, you have to orgasm, too, but you don't have to, penetrate, because you don't have a dick. Yeah, I choose a tab. That's most people's apparent answers. I am not particularly, confused over why. VW, either way, you're losing it. I lost it when I was a little kid. Bobby, Sticks, who would you rather pork? Gun to head, no choice. I would choose Whoopi Goldberg over Joy Reid, actually. Yeah, I would fuck Whoopi Goldberg, I suppose. Pelosi or Joy Behar? Oh. That one's a lot more difficult. Let me see. Well, either way, you're fucking someone who's in their 80s, so, like, age is off the table. Which one looks more like, if you had a bag over their head, which one would you fuck? Damn, you've asked me a question that's almost impossible for me to answer. Yeah. I think I would choose Joy Behar over Nancy Pelosi. Just because, like, I would be afraid that if I fucked Nancy Pelosi, like, it would break her hip, and then I'd get sued or something. Joy Behar looks like she could, take at least a little bit of a pounding. Tarred and feathered. Fuck you for reminding me that Ozzy's dead. Anyways, I'm gonna go offline. I'll be back tomorrow with some more wonderful news stories. I already got 4 lined up, and I want to rant more about the Moroccan soup because, honestly, I think some of you dudes out there, you get like a girlfriend and shit. Cook her a nice soup. Cook her a nice meal. Trust me, you can go the distance. So yeah, I'm going to docket a little bit more news stories, and then I will be back tomorrow. That's what I'm talking about. That's about all.